What are your expectations for yourself? Should you feel compelled to finish something you've started? Or is it okay to change your mind? Listen to how Sarah Goldfeder answered these questions and more during the selection process for the U.S. Coast Guard.
I thought, well, I'll try this. And I went through their entire recruitment process, which is long and includes like a panel interview. And so you show up at this Coast Guard base, which was about 2-hour drive from where I lived in Eugene. And so you show up in your business best as 20-year-old. And you're walking to this room and it's this long table of people in full uniform. And there were 6 of them for mine because there was someone being trained. So I had 6 people in full uniform that were there to do this panel interview, which is really intimidating.
Yeah,
of
course.
Yeah. But at one point, much later, I actually got to see my file and all of their sheets that they'd marked on, like their handwritten sheets of what they'd written about me. And I knocked the interview out of the park. Like there was all sorts of questions as to why were her grades so bad?
Question mark. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was funny because the other thing you do is you send in these requests for assessment to people that you worked with, professors, that kind of thing. And I'd sent in a bunch and they were all in there as well. And there was a few of the people on the panel that were like, well, I was anticipating that she was going to be really, I was anticipating something else of her appearance based on the remarks. I'm like, well, what remarks? And I went back and I looked and there was a couple of women that I worked with that had been commenting on, I've never been a large makeup wearer, never been somebody that was particularly pulled together. I'm queen of messy hair, and there was these comments on that. And then there was a response on that. How odd. That would be
it's very odd.
Yeah. So what had happened is I'd overperformed to their expectations because I think they thought somebody was going to walk in sweats with a ponytail.
Right.
And
slept in their car the night before.
Yeah,
right.
Drool on their face and, toothpaste in the corner. I don't know. I think that's what they thought was going to come in. And I ended up not being that. So it was, I'd overachieved on their expectations. So, but that was really interesting because I ended up succeeding in a very competitive program and then deciding not to do it. And these 2 recruiters were just devastated. They're like, we didn't think you were going to do it. You managed to do it. And now you're not going to even do it. This is crazy. We're going to take you down and we're going to have you talk to, it was one of the people that was on my panel interview was the only woman at the table, and she was a helicopter pilot. So they take me back down there. They drove me this time because they didn't trust me to drive myself. They didn't think I would go if I had to drive myself. So they picked me up and drove me down there.
Sounds like Kidnapping Light to me.
Yeah. And I met her. And she said, you know what? And we had a really nice conversation. And she said, it's okay if this is not what you want to do right now. And honestly, I don't want to worry that somebody who I need to have my back is not fully committed to what we're doing. So if this is not right for you right now, don't feel bad because there's something else that's out there that is.
So if you look back on that experience of going through the recruitment process, is there anything that the big lessons like that you just recounted, was that one of them that you sort of carried with you? What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I learned fear is a big thing. And when you kind of realize that you can walk into a room with, 5 scary people and have this conversation that impresses them, it gives you a lot of confidence. So I think what I learned about myself is that I could express myself and not to worry about my grades, not to worry about the transcript, that if you are actually good at something and if you actually have the talent to get something done, what you've done before matters a lot less than what you could do or what you're doing or what you could do. So don't, I think from that point forward, I stopped worrying about my transcripts. I stopped worrying about the fact that I hadn't been a great student. And the other part of it was that it was a team. And if there's any question in your mind that the team's not that's not your team, don't join it. Because it's not just that you're not going to be happy, they're not going to be happy. And I think, that's really, and in that case, not only are they not going to be happy, but it's actually could be counterproductive to the mission to have a team that's not functioning at its highest possible level. So I took a lot of that away from my conversation with her, that, it has to, you have to be, you don't have to believe in it every day. Everybody's got bad days.
Yeah. But
you have to believe in it overall. And it's okay to think that you wanted something and to get to the point where you're allowed to have it if you want it, and say, maybe I've changed my mind. And I think, it's interesting to me because I talk to a lot of young women who are trying to figure out what they're going to do in their career, and they're interested in government relations or they're interested in diplomacy, and they want a roadmap with, benchmarks and spots that they can check off the boxes that I did this, this, and this. And I've always said, there is no straight path that's going to really teach you what you need to learn. And I think the other thing that I've always held to, and I held it to this today, is, what you're doing every day has got to be the reward. Like there's, you can't spend all of your work life working towards a goal that is the reason that you're doing everything. Though you have to find those reasons in the work that you do every day. And so I always say, like, I had a very circuitous route. For 8 years, I was a stay-at-home mom, volunteering and doing work for, different organizations. But because I don't like to be bored, not because I was on a pathway to do, to try and do something, attain some goal. So look around you and see what's around you that's interesting.